Good day, everyone. Welcome to my presentation. I'm Vincent Cotoron, and today I would like to discuss with you part of the construction enterprise and its environment, section 3.2.8 to 3.2.10 from the reference book Fundamentals of Construction Management. But before I proceed, I would like to acknowledge our course specialist for this course, Principles of Construction Management, no other than Engineer Manuel Melchor Bongulto. Good day, sir. Okay, it's time to move forward. This presentation will primarily focus on the three sections from the construction enterprise and its environment, section 3.2.8 to 3.2.10, which comprise the topic on education, professional qualification, and types of firms. Okay, first, I'm going to discuss the topic on education. In a field survey in 2011, conducted by the Construction Industry Development Board or CIDB of South Africa, in the background profiles of founding members and size of founding team, in the aspect of education, Table 4E indicates the highest educational qualification possessed by 22 members. As we can see in the table, there are 6 members who obtained the highest educational qualification with no bachelor's degree. But the result implies that 73% of the members have no bachelor's degree. When cross-tabulated in the company terms, it reflected in their survey that there are only 4 companies out of 12 surveyed in which there are owners with no tertiary education at all. These are prevalent in the firms with the sole owners and 3 of which are founded in 1994. In the study conducted in 1992 by Snell and Dean, cited in the separate study of Wiklund and Shepard in 2003, according to them, the human capital of a small manager consists of skills and knowledge obtained through education and experience, and that assists in running the business successfully. Okay. With regards to educational qualification, here's a question. Does educational background matter when putting up a construction firm? The answer is yes. As supported in a study of Wiklund and Shepard in 2003, they consistently noted that educated individuals are more likely to run faster growing small business than those who less educated. This implies that competencies are required to grow a company, but it takes an educated founder to enable the company to grow at faster rate. In terms of professional qualification, on the same study conducted in South Africa by CIDB, Table 4F reveals that significant number of founding owners do not possess professional qualifications. As we can see, the percentage of 73.9. In this connection, we got another question. Is it important to possess professional qualification in founding a construction company? The answer is, it's not important. As we can see in the table 4F, it reveals that significant number of the founding owners do not possess professional qualification, suggesting that this is not important in establishing a successful construction company. Based on the result of that survey, the requirements common to individuals desirous of establishing company enterprises are: first, the size of founding team; second, founding owners' past experience and past experience together; lastly, diversity of members in the construction industry. This means that anybody could establish a construction firm as long as you and your team meet these requirements. Now, let's move on to the types of firms. Let's put this in the context of construction. In 2007, a group of three researchers, namely Rush, Besant, and Habday, they conducted a study to assess the technological capabilities of firms, and they found that as firms move into a more complex environment, they need a richer set of capabilities to deal effectively with the threats and opportunities that confront them. So it's like a Hunger Games scenario, which relates to survival of the fittest and elimination of the unfit. In order to comprehend this scenario, let's examine the four types of firms based upon the level of maturity and the 9 key dimensions of management of technology, according to Rush, Besant, and Habday. And the four types of firms are the type 1, the passive, type 2, it's called reactive, type 3 is strategic, and the type 4 are creative. Okay, let's closely examine each type of firms. The first type is the passive or unaware. They are characterized as being unconscious or unaware of the need for technological change in what may be a hostile environment. For example, if low-cost competitor enter the market or if customers require faster delivery or higher quality, they are not able to pick up relevant signals or respond quickly. If they do, they may waste scarce resources by targeting a wrong kind of improvement. These firms are characterized by a firefighting crisis style of management with little, if any, long-term strategic focus, explained by Besant in 1999. Often, they are family-owned and with a strong local orientation, and their biggest limitation is their relative isolation. Their capabilities are limited to reactive innovation, often as subcontractors supplying goods and services to other firms, and emphasis in innovation is almost entirely on process change, with a strong focus on cost as the key competitive driver. So, what are the key problems in the group that belong to the passive type of firms? Their key problems can be described as lack of, first, awareness of potential problems or of resource, including human resources that can help deal with them, motivation to change, third, managerial skills to prioritize planning for change, fourth, implementation skills, fifth, awareness or access to national innovation system, especially the ability to identify relevant partners or service providers. Unsurprisingly, unaware or passive firms are not prepared in all major areas of technology acquisition, the use, development, strategy, and so on. Such firms usually have a predominantly local orientation, and technological change, when it does happen, is often dominated by suppliers and confined to off-the-shelf solution. In terms of organizational development, a thorough basic improvement program is urgently needed. Assistance is required, enabling these firms to recognize the need for change, developing a strategic framework, identifying appropriate changes, and in acquiring and implementing necessary technologies. They also require assistance in sustaining this process of change over the long term. Now let's move on to the type 2 or the reactive type of firms. These firms recognize the challenge of change and the need for continuous improvements in their technological capabilities, but they are uncertain about how to respond effectively. As their internal resources are often limited and they lack the key skills and experience, they tend to react to technological threats and possibilities but are often unable to shape and exploit events to their advantage. Their external networks are usually poorly developed, with most of their technological know-how coming from their suppliers and following other firms in their sector. Typically, this group treats symptoms rather than causes of problems. For example, dealing with bottleneck operations by replacing machinery, only to find that the problem becomes worse because the root cause is in fact in the production scheduling. Such firms are therefore often characterized by inappropriate innovation as much as by a lack of it. So, what are the key problems that we'll usually encounter by the type 2 or the reactive type of firms? The key problems of this type of firm include the lack of, first, the detailed awareness of innovation challenges, and for example, they would not be well aware of the nature of the technological frontier, only that they lie some way behind it. Included in this is a lack of awareness to anticipate change. Awareness of broader market and competitive drivers. Their innovation agenda is often set through signals, filtered via key customers or by the imitative behavior related to similar firms. Awareness of the full range of technological options to upgrade capability, and as usually manifest is an emphasis on investment in new technology packaged into capital equipment rather than interest in improved or different use of existing resources within the firm. Another problem is awareness of distinctive competency or the need to identify and build this. There are more problems encountered by the reactive type of firms. Additionally, they encounter this problem: internal resources or the awareness of the full range of resources available within the national innovation system, often manifest in a reliance on a few regular sources of technology and limited search behavior. Another problem is the capability in articulating core problems and a tendency to treat symptoms rather than deal with the root cause issues. Strategic orientation to technological change is also another problem, and a framework for prioritizing innovation or for ensuring that changes support the business strategy. And lastly, they always have this problem: the implementation capability. The needs of this group center on first on the development of a strategic framework for technological change so that the key priorities areas can be addressed. Allied to this are the needs in searching wider for solution, in exploring new concepts. For example, the changing production layout rather than simply acquiring new machinery, or in acquiring and implementing a new products and process capabilities. In the longer term, such firms could be expected to develop an internal capabilities for strategic upgrading and require less and less support. Okay, let's move on to the third type of firms, which are the strategic type of firms. This type have a well-developed sense of the need for the technological change, in that they are capable of implementing new projects and of adopting a strategic approach to continuous innovation. They have a clear idea of what has to be done, when and whom, and have the internal capability in both the technical and managerial areas to implement changes with skill and speed. These firms benefit from deliberately develop a strategic framework in terms of search acquisition, implementation, and improvement of technology, including the ability to network and collaborate effectively towards these ends. The strategic type of firms still face a number of problems. This includes they tend to lack the capability to redefine markets through new technology. Example, by developing new product categories either alone or in partnership with others, which can result in new market niches and segments. Second, they lack the capabilities to create new market opportunities. Third, they have a problem in exhibiting the tendency to compete within the boundaries of their existing industry and may become trapped in a mature or slow growth sector. Lastly, they will also consider the problem of limited knowledge of where and how to acquire technologies, especially the new technologies, beyond the boundaries of their traditional business. Now let's move to the last type, or the type 4, which are creative type of firms. This type of firms are said to have a well-developed sets of technological capabilities and are able to help define the international frontier, in that they are able to adopt a proactive approach to exploiting technology for their competitive advantage. They are said to be at ease with modern strategic frameworks for innovation and understand how to use technology, markets, and organization to improve competitiveness. So what are the capabilities of creative firms? They are at ease with modern strategic framework for innovation and take it up upon themselves to rewrite the rules of the competitive game with respect to technology, markets, and organization. Strong internal resources are coupled with a high degree of absorptive capacity that can enable diversification into other sectors, where their own skills and capabilities bring new advantages and redefine the ways in which firms traditionally compete or wish to compete. Third capability is they have the technology and market networks and that are extensive so that they are kept informed about new technological opportunities and remain in touch with suppliers of equipment and ideas. Another capability of a creative firm, as they are unlikely to be more than a few firms in this category at any one time, and they are generally seen as risk takers. The needs of this group are mainly around complementing existing internal capabilities with outside sources, assessing risk and uncertainties, and sustaining their position as rule breakers. As their capability gets stronger, they tend to be open companies that collaborate and learn from partners in the external environment and invest in developing new technologies and resources. From time to time, projects emerge that threaten to disrupt their existing business, and they are often in a strong position to convert such threats into new market opportunities. Additionally, as described in the table, which indicates the distribution of contractors by grade and other classification, these are the types of firms based on the category in South African setting. Contractors with CIDB grade, especially grade number 1, they fall under the passive type of firms. Number 2 to 4 and number 5 and 6 falls under the reactive type of firm. Number 7 and 8 falls under the strategic type of firm. And number 9 falls under the creative type. Based on the grade from the CIDB, a grade 1 or the passive type these are the trade contractors who have adequate knowledge and experiences to carry out the work within predetermined trade categories. The trades, for example, in plumbing and drainage works, carpentry and joinery works, bricklayers and stone masons, floor finishes and paintings, and etc. Whatever trade available are done by the grade 1 or the passive type of firms. The grade 2 to 6 or the reactive type are those contractors who have adequate knowledge and experiences to carry out work within a predetermined subcategories. These subcategories within the following scope of work: low-rise residential building not more than 16 meters in height, and low-rise commercial or institutional and industrial buildings not more than 16 meters in height, with public access and exit requirements. So this is based on a CIDB grade in South Africa. The grade 7 to 9 or the strategic and reactive type have relevant experience for management and supervision of construction works. With regards to CIDB or the Construction Industry Development Board, the grade 7 and 9 are those contractors who have access to SAC PCMP, Registered Construction Manager, or EXA, the Engineering Council of South Africa Registered Professionals. In the Philippines, contractors fall into 6 categories, as what you can see in the table. As most likely, small contractors within A and B categories which have a license category of trade C and D belong to a passive type of firms. The medium contractors that are A and B, which have a license category of A and B respectively, belong to a reactive type. Large A contractors which have a license category of AA belong to a strategic type, and large B contractors which have a license category of AAA belong to creative type of firms. Since I've already discussed the topics, before I end my presentation, let me recap some important points. First, in educational qualification. Educated individuals are more likely to run faster growing small business than those who are less educated. Having an educated founder will or could enable the company to grow at faster rate. For professional qualification, study conducted in South Africa reveals that significant number of the founding owners do not possess professional qualification, suggesting that this is not important in establishing a successful construction company. And basically, there are only 3 requirements common to individuals desirous of establishing company enterprise, and these are the size of founding team, second, the founding owners' past experience together, and lastly, the diversity of members in construction industry. And lastly, let me recap that there are 4 types of firms identified by Rush, Besant, and Hobday based on their level of maturity. And these are: the first type is the passive type, second is the reactive type of firm, third, the strategic, and lastly, the creative type of firms. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much and have a nice day to all.